Ladies and gentlemen, there's a very big tariff news. It just came out and it has got tremendous implication to Singapore, Malaysia, and the rest of the world, as well as the stock market. Please watch on till the end where I announce some very important announcement. Let's watch on, shall we? So Donald Trump, as he promised, 1st of August, imposed sweeping tariffs all across the world in a global effort to reshape the entire landscape and reinforce the American supremacy in global trade. And this is something that has huge implication to every country across the world. And let's just watch on whether is it going to be good or bad for Singapore, Malaysia, and the rest of the world, but especially to the stock market. As usual, this is a video not for financial advice, but for education and entertainment. One big news is coming at the end of the video. Please watch on. So there's a big durian news at the end of the video. I don't want to distract everybody. Just watch until the end for the big durian news for durian lovers. You should watch on. So President Donald Trump has signed an executive order imposing reciprocal tariff ranging from 10 to 41% on imports across dozens of trade partners in his latest attempt to reshape the global economy. And this news, okay, which now unleash a fresh round of tariff across the rest of the world, actually bring a closure to all the uncertainties that the world is facing. Now, there is a risk of inflation because this is now global, but the rates differs quite a lot from what they intended to do on earlier in April. So I'll run through the list of the tariffs and let's take a look at some of that. But our eyes should focus on a few key ones. For example, Singapore, Malaysia, India, for example, has been hit with 25%. Taiwan, 20%, 30%, South Africa, Switzerland, surprisingly 39%. Okay. And their extension to Mexico, which is one of the top trading partners, which I think Trump is prepared to do some adjustment. And Brazil surprisingly got a 10%, and so on. So some of the world's poorest and war-torn countries were hit with punitive rates. Syria got hit with 41%. Surprised me. I thought Syria got a new government and he actually shook hands with Trump. Remember, Trump has no friends. Okay, no friends. There's only interest. Laos and Myanmar hit with 40%. Libya, 30%. Iraq, 35%. Sri Lanka, 20%. And so on, right? So this is right now a global phenomenon. So if you are to take a look at the entire 5-page long kind of list, I think I will just cover a few interesting ones. No country got anything less than 10%. Brazil got 10%. Singapore about 10%, which I'll talk about it. Okay. And you have Cambodia, 19% or so. Quite a lot of countries got hit with 15%, and that seems more like the norm. Okay. So 15% seems more like the norm, as you can see cut across. New Zealand, 15%, Myanmar, 40%, Malaysia, 19%. And I think it's not too bad because they were originally planned with a 25%. And we have got Philippines 19% as well, and South Korea 15%, and Switzerland 39%, and Taiwan 20%, Thailand 19%. So 15 to 19% seems to be the norm. And the other key country is Vietnam, which China use a lot of production based in, through Vietnam, get hit with 20% as well. So, the most important country, which is China, the outcome right now is still a big question mark. So, we don't have clarity between US and China right now. China is the only one that has got freaking bargaining power against US, and they are flexing that muscle. So let's see how you'll play out. But I don't think it's going to be easy. So right now, the best hope that we can have is US and China poised to extend the tariff truce, right? If you cannot decide not to fight, then delay the fight, right? So I think this is what they're all hoping to have. Just push the can down for 3 months, right? So if you can just keep rolling down 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. As I always say, ta ta ting ting, ta ta ting ting. So we should sometimes fight, sometimes stop, sometimes fight, sometimes stop. I think that's the best outcome. So most most Asian countries slipped to multi-month low right now on Friday. South Korean won and Malaysia ringgit leading the decline. The sell-off of the won is bad. The ringgit is bad as well. The Sing dollar versus the US dollar right now is at 130 to 1. So a lot of people who are so bullish on the Sing dollar and say that one day you'll hit 1:1, I think you're betting now against the strongest economy. Let's remember that we are really a very small price taker in the global space. So as it stands right now, the Ministry of Trade Industry has confirmed just hours ago that Singapore will remain subject to the 10% baseline tariff on exports to US. That's great news, okay? But that's largely because we have a trade surplus with US. So we're considered a good boy to US and a good boy to Donald Trump. This part, we are quite grateful to President Trump and also to DPM Gan Kim Yong, who has been negotiating on all this. But the truth of the matter is that the detail on pharmaceutical, on semiconductors is not out yet, where the US might do something against Singapore. So pharmaceutical and semiconductors are very key to Singapore exports to US. And Trump has indicated he intends to impose some level of tariffs in a bid to bring pharmaceutical production back into US. So for us, it accounts for 10% of export, which is a lot of money, a lot of money. And if a rate imposed at 25%, that will be quite lethal to Singapore. And if a 25% tariff will be hit on Singapore, it could be anything on GDP impact of between 0.1 to 1%. So it's difficult to model. If all the production base in pharmaceutical leave Singapore and go to US, that will be a disaster for Singapore. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong outright said that the US baseline tariff of 10%, okay, uh, is not ideal, but we can live with it, right? Singapore didn't even put out a fight, and they should not. And Singapore is now preparing the country, okay, for a different global environment, and that is good. My personal opinion is that I think the outcome that I see so far is potentially good for Singapore. My guess is that the rate of what I call nationality laundering of global companies in favor of Singapore will pick up. Well, just put it that way, right? A lot of countries, if they produce in other countries, they'll be hit with a lot more export tariffs. But if they go through Singapore, 加工, add value, add a little bit, just that they meet the mark, play with some paperwork and things like that, and it goes out of Singapore, and potentially you can get a tax rate of 10%. So a lot of companies, especially from China, are potentially seeking this option, and I think this would potentially be big advantage for Singapore. But it's hard to say because there's also downside from the pharmaceutical and the semiconductor industry, which Trump might do something, right? So we don't know yet, but I think at this juncture, seeing what it is right now, it could potentially be big for Singapore. Now, on Malaysia, the revised tariff and has been achieved according to their trade ministry without compromising the country's sovereign rights, which is stood on certain red line, and they are able to achieve that negotiation without giving in. So the 19% tariff is something that I think the country is somewhat taking comfort in. I wouldn't say they celebrate, but they are taking comfort in. I would say that Prime Minister Anwar has done a great job. Of course, 19% is still high, right? But I think right now, they will find a way to mitigate the effects of the tariffs. I think there is a columnist by ex-NMP Kelvin Cheng. He's a brilliant man, okay, very wise man. I saw what he wrote on Facebook. I thought without his permission, I reproduce here since it's put to public anyway. So he rightfully worded it, right? He says that Trump tariff have gone in effect virtually every part of the world. It's a new world. Cut a long story short, what Trump had bet on is the US is too big, too powerful for a country to want to retaliate. You see, so far, all the countries all chicken out, with the exception largely of China, which is still having some friction with US, but that I think would push later. A bit of Canada, the rest of the country all totally bow down to Donald Trump. So he has bet that most countries absorb the tariff and it's happening. And he used a very common negotiation trick that seems to have worked. And I think Calvin Cheng rightfully put it. Remember, you may go to market and the seller first quote you a ridiculous price. Okay, in this case, say for a fake Chanel, you said no and start to bargain. After 10 minutes, the price came down 80% and you walk away feeling that you won in negotiation. Actually, the guy already factored this in. This is what in negotiation class, they call it anchoring. Okay, go Google it, anchoring. So what the negotiator does is you quickly anchor you, set the high price first, and let you feel that when you come down, you actually won. And Trump has successfully done that. This is an old trick done by good negotiators. But of course, you need bargaining position from position of strength, and almost all countries have rolled over. So I think this is very wise of Kelvin to describe this environment, and I think this is really strengthening U.S. Position for, I don't know, maybe the next few decades. The only country right now that is outstanding is China, and China fights on. They are the only one that dares to retaliate against the U.S. and because they have bargaining rights, they hold Donald Trump by his you know what, and they hold the strength largely because of because of the rare minerals and plus some other stuff as well. So I think the fight between China and Trump is going to be exciting. Let's watch and see. I'll keep everybody updated. In a nutshell, Trump has won big time. You may not like him. I don't really like him as a person, but he has won big time for US. And we got to admit that he's an insanely good negotiator, insanely good strategies that has done well from a business point of view. Now he extrapolated that in a global space and he won big time. The key takeaway from all this thing is this. I think out of this whole thing, the US government deficit will reduce significantly. Maybe, for many months in 1 year, it may even hit balanced budget or even a surplus budget for the government. And this is a big game changer because the US budget deficit is the biggest, if not, one of the biggest problem that the US have. The US budget deficit, the debt problem, will blow up one day. Is it going to be in my lifetime? Is it going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be my children's lifetime? I don't know. One day it will blow up. With one fell swoop, whack, make every country pay for it. Maybe even you might even argue that is the people pay for it is its own people. It doesn't matter. The government budget deficit is going to reduce and it's going to reduce significantly and possibly even turn into a surplus. We'll watch this. I've used ChatGPT to analyze this problem. With all the tariffs coming in, will it be a budget deficit or budget surplus still? There is too many scenarios, but in the optimistic case, yes, it will be a budget surplus. So this is a game changer. Now, a lot of people say, but Mr. Lu, there's going to be inflation in US. Yes, I don't deny that. There's a one-time price jump. One time, okay? One time price jump by economist standard is not called inflation. It's just called a price increase. Inflation and its core definition means a series of price increase non-stop. And if that were to happen, that would be bad. But I don't think so. And so far, the inflation is not hitting the US in any way. Now, this outcome clearly reinforced US economic supremacy globally. The last time this happened was clear cut, in two instances. Number one, out of World War II, US, claimed leadership in the whole world. Then in the Bretton Woods system, the US dollar became the de facto global currency that established its global supremacy. And right now, he basically ransomed the whole world and established a firm position that US is number one. No countries outside US like this, but most will suck up to it, as we can see right now. The only thing right now is with China, which I call they will do a DDTT. So, ta ting ting, beat and stop, beat and stop, beat and stop, which we have to wait and see what this outcome will be. Exciting times, and let's just watch on. Don't forget to hit subscribe. so that you will get real-time analysis to it. Now, at this juncture, I'd like to switch to some commercials. Okay, for those people who don't like durian or don't like commercial, you can don't watch, but this is a very important announcement. So it took me a stroke of luck that someone just approached me and I've tasted it. It was amazing. I talked about it yesterday live stream. And this amazing Mao San Wang Black Gold O3 in Pahang Rawood, no pesticide. I tried it. My spirit left my body as I tasted it. It was amazing. And I told everybody I'm going into Malaysia to do a live stream on it on Sunday 3 p.m. But unfortunately, I've got humongous amount of traffic coming in and say that Mr. Lu, whatever price it is, I want to buy. So we have already sold more than half the amount without knowing what the price is. Okay. Finally, my company set the price, and so whoever wants can do a pre-order right now. Price will be informed if you WhatsApp. It won't be cheap, but it won't be expensive. It will be fair, but the taste is out of the world. One of the best I ever tasted. So if you want, join us on live stream 3 p.m. If you want to pre-order, can do it right now. Just a commercial, and I'll see you tonight in our live stream.